Welcome adventurers to the world of Kulgurath. In today's video we're going to be taking a dive into the dark depths of Kulgurath's oceans to explore and discover a couple new species. This first creature we'll be taking a look at is known as the Shadowtide Lurker. For those of you familiar with Lovecraftian horrors or eldritch creatures, this one may be of particular interest to you. It's actually a concept I came up with many years ago, but I thought it would be perfect to redesign it and update it to fit into the world of Kulgurath. Now, I've always been fond of monsters that have some sort of Cthulhu-like traits, so it was only fitting to have something like that in my own IP here. The Shadowtide Lurker is a hostile species of intelligent beings that live beneath the ocean waves around the rocky coastlines where there are troves of underwater cave systems. They construct their various temples, shrines, and altars in these murky caverns where they worship powerful and destructive monstrosities such as the notorious Kraken. Now, like the Kraken, it is believed that these horrifying creatures are not in fact native to this world, but in fact an invasive species from some twisted realm. Instead of relying on brute strength, the Shadowtide Lurkers rely on their dark powers of mind control. These creatures are known for their nefarious acts of taking stranded sailors or kidnapping those in coastal towns to manipulate and enslave their minds, forcing them to be subservient to the Lurkers. Some folk even willingly join the Lurkers to serve as cultists with the task of spreading the dark corruption and influence throughout the lands. When it came to the design process for the Shadowtide Lurker, I wanted to make sure it looked somewhat unsettling. Instead of going the route of making it much more humanoid in appearance, I opted for a long, slithering body, somewhat reminiscent of fantasy creatures like the Naga. Since it's a species that relies on intelligence rather than physical prowess, its arms are long and spindly with thin, bony hands and webbed fingers. One of my favorite colors to use when coming up with these more creepy designs is that ethereal bluish green hue, and I also added in a touch of orange in various places to contrast well with that cool green color. I've been experimenting more and more with the various brushes in Procreate to come up with different textures and such for all my designs lately. At first glance, a lot of the brushes seem like they're completely pointless, but you definitely can find ways to incorporate them into your concepts. You'll see towards the end here on this one that I used one of the pattern brushes on its plated scales that I think help give it this sort of otherworldly, ancient alien kind of feeling. And it even somewhat reminds me of textures you might see on things like coral, which works well because this is a sea-dwelling creature after all. But I'll leave y'all to the rest of this time-lapse here before coming back to wrap up the finished design of the Shadowtide Lurker, so I'll see you in a few. And here we have the completed illustration for the Shadowtide Lurker. Let me know what y'all think about this one in the comments down below. And now, we'll transition over to the other sea monster of today's video. Now, this large serpent here you'll be seeing is known as the sea worm. They live throughout the northern oceans and seas in the world, preferring the colder temperatures of those waters as opposed to the warmer ones further south where sea monsters such as the Kraken dwell. The creature's skin is smooth and shiny like that of a seal, with dark, murky blues on their back and a much lighter, whitish hue down their bellies. This helps them with camouflage when hunting in the waters, allowing them to blend in with the ocean environment from both above and below. Running along the sides of their bodies are webbed flippers, and their powerful tail is lined with large fins, allowing them to slice through the waters with both strength and elegance. Their mouths are lined with jagged, razor-sharp teeth that prevent their prey from escaping when the sea worm snaps its jaws upon them. Though they are incredibly massive in size, they don't hunt for large prey in particular, as their jaws are not built to rip out chunks of flesh. They instead feast upon troves of fish or other small sea creatures. When traversing throughout the northern reaches of the world, it is often common to see these serpents basking upon the tops of icebergs. While not normally adversarial to large vessels, they have been known to attack smaller boats in hopes of nabbing an easy meal. What is most unique about the sea worm is the green mist they expel from their nostrils and gills via specialized glands. During their mating season, large groups of these creatures will gather atop icebergs or coral atolls and begin to emit their green mist, blanketing the oceans in a thick fog. During this time, it is best practice to avoid traversing through the area as these animals become extremely aggressive. Now, I had a lot of fun coming up with the design for this one here, and I've been on a little bit of a serpent kick lately between this sea worm and the elden worm I showed off previously. And the final render with this one in particular I was super satisfied with, which isn't often the case when I'm coming up with my creature designs. Usually the initial rough sketches and concepts are my favorite part, but with this sea worm here in particular, the end result turned out exactly how I had hoped. But I'll go ahead and let the rest of this time lapse here finish up, and then I'll be back to wrap the whole thing up. And here is the completed piece for the sea worm. Let me know what y'all think about this one in the comments down below. Also, my Kulgurath bestiary book has officially been published over on Amazon, so be sure to click the link below in the description box if you want to get your hands on a copy to discover more than 60 different creatures that I've designed for the world of Kulgurath. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you like my content and want to see more of it. And also, there's memberships available for those of you who want to show a little extra support for my work, as well as gain access to my entire playlist of creature design live streams. That's it for this one, folks, and I'll see you in the next one.